This is the brief on how infant sleep builds your brain's operating system. Now, you probably don't remember your first few years on Earth, but those 16 to 18 hours of daily baby sleep weren't just some biological quirk. No, they were doing something far more vital than just recording memories. First, we've got to look at how adult and baby sleep are completely different beasts. As adults, we use our deep sleep cycles to replay and hit save on the specific stories of our day. But newborns? They spend their 18 hours of sleep in this highly active, totally different REM-like state. So if babies are sleeping all day, why on earth aren't they saving any memories? Well, second, it all comes down to what that sleep is actually meant to do. Instead of storing away discrete experiences, that tiny infant brain is actively consolidating foundational life patterns. It's figuring out the basic rules of existence, like how physical objects behave in space and exactly how to read faces and voices for emotional meaning. Finally, the absolute easiest way to wrap your head around this is with a tech analogy. Right now, a sleeping infant's brain is focused entirely on building the core operating system that everything else is eventually going to run on. They're busy installing the software, converting raw experiences into pure capability and permanent brain architecture, rather than just saving a bunch of little Word documents full of retrievable narrative stories. So those unremembered early years weren't a waste. They were just processed into the foundational architecture of who you are, rather than a story you can tell. You didn't lose your earliest experiences, you literally became them.
It's constantly destabilizing the existing connections. So the crucial point here is that this rapid neurogenesis trades away long-term memory consolidation in exchange for pure, raw learning capacity. The infant brain is entirely optimized for absorbing new information at maximum speed, basically wiping the old shelves clean to prioritize all the new stuff. The biological cost of that incredible learning speed? Forgetting basically everything.
Moving right along to Section 2, the supporting evidence, language scaffolds, and sleep architecture.
So, we've got extreme hippocampal immaturity and the disruptive chaos of rapid neurogenesis. But those biological mechanisms, they're only part of the story. There are secondary factors that heavily compound this memory erasure, specifically the absence of language. Let's talk about that. Autobiographical memory, the "I remember when this happened to me" kind of memory, is deeply structurally connected to language. To have a memory of yourself, you need an internal narrator. And that ability to construct a story with yourself as the main character only emerges alongside language. Without language acting as a sort of cognitive structural scaffold, there's just no story. And without a story, there's literally no one to be the subject of the memory.
Because of this, the average onset of reliable memory usually lands around 3 to 3.5 years old, which perfectly aligns with major language development. But, interestingly, this actually varies. Research shows that in cultures where parents frequently practice collaborative reminiscing, so asking their kids things like, "Hey, remember when we went to the beach? What did we see?" Those children actually develop autobiographical memories earlier. It just goes to show that memory is, at least partly, a social skill that heavily relies on narrative practice.
Okay, let's look at how all this builds into our understanding of sleep. As adults, we sleep for rest and recovery. Infants, on the other hand, are sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day, spending massive amounts of time in active REM-like states. They aren't just resting, they are essentially building the brain's core operating system from scratch. Their awake experiences aren't being saved as individual retrievable memory files. Instead, they are being processed into pure brain architecture. You don't remember the specific Tuesday you learned that objects are solid, you just know it. Which brings us to Section 3, the complication, the fake memory problem. Now that we understand exactly why the memories disappear biologically, we have to confront a pretty serious complication. This might cause a moment of psychological discomfort, but it's absolutely crucial. What if the few early memories you think you do have aren't actually real? Here is the incredibly unsettling memory pipeline. Let's say there's a photo of your second birthday. You look at it a lot growing up. Adults repeatedly tell you the funny story of how you totally smashed the cake. Well, over time, your brain builds a vivid mental representation of that story. And eventually, the brain actually misfiles this reconstruction in the exact same place as your actual, genuine memories. Experientially, a fabricated memory is totally indistinguishable from a real one.
And this forces us to ask a deeply disorienting philosophical question. Does it matter if your earliest memory is just a borrowed story? For a lot of people, this is a really uncomfortable truth to face. The self we think we are, the very foundation of our personal history, is at least partially built on stories that other people told us about ourselves.
But hang on, let's look at section 4, the resolution, the implicit traces you kept.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it shows you shouldn't despair. Even though you forgot the events, the stories, and the specific days, you absolutely kept the lessons. Notice the really clear distinction here between what is lost and what remains. Infantile amnesia completely erases your explicit memory. Those are the conscious narrative stories you can pull up and recall. But it leaves your implicit memory completely intact. Implicit memories are the physical and emotional reflexes, the deeply ingrained default calibrations of your nervous system that operate entirely below your conscious awareness.
So you are carrying an implicit inheritance. If you were consistently soothed when you cried as a baby, your nervous system learned at a fundamental biological level that distress is temporary. If you were ignored, your nervous system learned a totally different default setting about how safe the world is. You don't remember the specific nights you were comforted, but those experiences added up into a permanent posture toward existence. And amazingly, these attachment styles and emotional atmospheres are often passed down across entire generations without anyone consciously realizing it.
But here is your incredibly empowering takeaway. Because there is no explicit narrative fixed in your mind, your story is absolutely not written in stone. The human brain is incredibly plastic. Yes, these early patterns are massively influential, but they are for sure not your destiny. They're just a starting position. Through therapy, through safe relationships, and through consistent new evidence in your life, you can successfully update the calibrations that your 3-month-old self made. I want to leave you with this really provocative thought from our source material today. The memories are gone, yes, but what they built is sitting inside you right now, quietly running the show in ways you barely even notice. The first years of your life happened. They mattered more than almost any other years that followed. You just weren't allowed to keep the receipts.